Kia ora!
Hello.
Good afternoon, guys. We are excited to be back with you with Doing Life with Sam and Kitty. And as you guys would have seen if you missed our last episode, we kicked off last Thursday, and we're going to be joining you every Thursday, 12:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time, and we would love you to jump on here and catch up with us. And we're just going to be covering a variety of different topics and just having a bit of a chat there to give you guys a bit of a lunchtime
blast.
Lunchtime blast, that's the one. So yeah, we had an awesome time last week, and we just shared about how during this time it's a perfect opportunity for us to find ways to be able to serve and help others who are in need. As we obviously know the situation that a lot of us are in. Some countries are in complete lockdown, and obviously here in Australia we're not in complete lockdown, but we are self-isolating. So a lot of our society has changed, as we have known it. It's been a rapid change as well. So we thought we'd just get on here and talk about a few things. But we had an amazing success last week. We talked about helping others who are in need, and we had some vouchers go out to some families in need, but also we kicked off our storehouse, which was amazing. So on Monday we had over 10 hampers that went out, and today our team are out there getting our hampers together for today for some pickups before Easter weekend. So it's just a blessing to be able to meet a need. I think when you know there's a need, just meet it. Don't get too many procedures and processes in place. Just find a way to meet it, and meet it fast, because there's people out there who could really do with being blessed during this time. So that was awesome. But this week, as you can see, the topic that we're going to be chatting about is excuses or opportunities. So we're looking forward to having a chat about that. And a quote that I like, I don't know if it's originally his, but Arnold Schwarzenegger, is you can have excuses or you can have results, but you can't have both. So yeah, we're going to have a good little chat about that. And the birds are joining us.
They love that. They love that.
Yeah, so yeah, that's us, honey?
That's a good
excuses
one,
or opportunities?
Yeah, I'll launch off a key phrase that Bishop talked about. If you don't know Bishop, you might be watching. And who's Bishop? Well, if you look up Brian Tamaki, Apostle Bishop Brian Tamaki, there's a quote he said, which was, David didn't see opposition, he saw opportunity. And I think where we find ourselves in today is that the whole world has changed. Some of us may have even woken up and lost jobs, or woken up and income has changed, woken up and school and life as we know it has changed, and definitely over the last few weeks it's changed. So what does that mean? Well, when you think about David, if you're familiar with the story in the Bible where David rocks up to the battle, and Israel is on one side, and this giant who was opposing them called Goliath was barking out threats, basically saying, look, send out your best man, and we're going to fight this thing out, and whoever wins, the other nation will become slaves to the winning tribe or nation. And so when you think about that, that's a very serious thing. And there was this young 16-year-old man by the name of David that rocked up to that, and he starts inquiring about what happens if you win, and how much money do you get, and oh, okay, you get to marry the king's daughter. That's straight into royal bloodline. So he approached the situation with a different mindset. So where we find ourselves today, I want to ask the question, because we've asked each other this: what are we seeing in this time we're in? Is it all gloom and doom? And there are some things that stink, like lockdown. I don't want to go in lockdown. I want to be able to jump in my car and drive down and get a coffee and I don't want to be in lockdown. But sometimes different things that are happening do force stuff upon us that we don't really want. Now we can either sit and cry about it, sit down on the hillside, because what you'll find in that story is that there was a whole nation of, and by the way, these were men of war who knew how to fight, who knew how to battle, but they chose to just dwell on the hillside waiting for someone else to rise up.
True.
I'm asking you the question, are you the one to rise up, or are you the one to sit on the hillside and wait for someone else to lead you into blessing? And I believe that God has given us, each and every one of us, a certain skill set, a certain gift that we can use to maximize the opportunity that we find ourselves in. So for us, obviously we're pastors, we run a church, but we can't congregate together, which really does suck, to be honest. I would rather hug people, rather talk to them, rather feel and vibe off their heart and their spirit, and rather, clap and hear a full band of people singing praise unto God. So we find ourselves in a position where we can't do that. Now I could sit down and go, oh, stink, we can't do that, I'll have to wait this out. Or we can get good at online church. We can upskill ourselves in the social media game. We can get better at speaking to lenses and cameras. And so that's the thing. You've got to see the opportunity in every situation and maximize your gift and leverage it to have the best influence that you can, to bless other people, and even find yourself a way to create an income through the gift that you have. So I'll let you have a chat and I'll come back on another angle, but basically that David rocked up, and as others were like, oh, what are we going to do? He was like, I'm going to do this, but what do I get for doing this? So see the opportunity in times of challenge, inquire about the reward, and definitely have the faith, but utilize the skills you have to maximize that moment.
Good, honey.
Cool.
That's so good. And I think when you were just talking there, it kind of made me think about looking at the outcome. See, too often we can just focus on the obstacles that are in front of us and not actually looking at the outcome that we're wanting, so that you can sort of, you can make those decisions and those moves to overcome those obstacles and not see them as big as they are. And like David's story, for example, is a giant. And I think that story is there's many giants in our life that we're facing or we're gonna face, but it's how we see it. Are we going to see that giant as, oh, that's going to stop me from anything I'm going to be able to do? Or are we going to be like, no, you know what, the opportunity behind that is too great, that I'm going to move that obstacle, I'm going to move that giant out of the way. And I love too, like, you alluded to in terms of church and things, our lifestyle that have had to change, but it's given us the ability to have to be innovative.
Yeah.
We've had to adjust some things, and we've had to think outside of our monotonous way of doing things, because we all know we can turn up to church, we jump in our cars, we drive to where we were at the movie theatres, we set up for service, praise and worship, pastor preaches, the people gather, but we've had to change the whole look of that. And I love that. I love that we've been in a position to be more innovative, be more creative, and I'm excited for what it's going to look like when we come through this, because we all would have had grown. We didn't just go through this situation, we've actually growing through it. And I love too, we've always been taught through our bishop that we don't determine everything based on our external factors. So our inner world really is where everything stems from. So our mindset, our belief, our faith. So that's where it's time now for our inner man to grow. Our spirit man to grow, our faith to go up to a whole new level. People are going to gather around people of faith, people who have belief, big vision. They want to see big vision. So we want to be able to continue to build that vision that we see and not be dictated to our circumstances around us and everything that we see around us. So I think it's a great time during this to look at the opportunities that we can lay a hold of during this time, as opposed to being like, finding the excuses as to why we cannot. And that, like you said, even just for church, for example, that's a big, huge part of our lives. Both of us grew up in the church. That's a part of our life. It's a part of our culture, our lifestyle. So it has had to adjust, but that's okay. That's an exciting thing that we can really adjust that and recreate something new out of this. So definitely looking for the opportunities in all areas of life. But I love that this is a time for us to really grow and to really master our inner world. It's a perfect time and opportunity. And even Bishop reminded us last night with his Wednesday night live, is that this is a time where we can really dig deep into our relationship with God, building our spiritual life, going to that secret place and having that new level of a relationship with God and hearing his voice more, hearing what he's saying. So it's given us opportunity to drown out a lot of the noise, a lot of the busyness, a lot of the things that kept our schedule so full. And including just little things like driving in the car. A lot of people drive 30, 40, 50 minutes just to get to work and 30, 40, 50 minutes to get back. It's given us so much more time. So, it's great opportunity to go for opportunity
Yeah.
and not excuses. Yeah.
Why would someone ring me right now, on my watch? Hey, so just coming off the back of what my wife said, it's true, is that in this time we're able to get more time with God and reflect on, and I've talked about the concept of faith capital, is that over the many years that we've been prepared through leadership, even if it's like 1-2 years, or if it's 20 or 30 years, that's enough time for you to have built up enough within you to be ready for such a time as this.
Yeah.
It's almost like your deposit now is big enough for what you need to do. You've got enough equity built up in there to actually overcome, because the illustration I can use with David is that he turned up as a 16-year-old boy with no armour and no sword.
Yeah.
And even his weaponry was seen as primitive to the giant, because the giant said to him, "What, you come at me, boy, with sticks and stones? What the heck, do you think I'm a dog? Like, what is that going to do anything to me?" So you might think that your abilities are irrelevant. You might think that you're looking at someone else like he can speak, or they're so gifted in singing, or they can do this and they can do that. You got to remember that David was not the first selection. He was not even among the half a dozen or so who were for selection. He was left in the back blocks when it came to what man would decide to choose. But we know that God does not look at the outward appearance, he looks at the heart. So if you can fashion yourself in the presence of God and get close to him and have a heart after God, as David did, then you'll be ready for such a time as God opens up the opportunity.
Yeah, amen.
Because David was delivering bread and cheeseburgers, as Bishop would say, to the brothers. Little did he know that that day he was going to stumble upon the making of a king. The outworking of all that God had planned for him was about to take place. And he didn't have to find the gift or the weaponry or the things that other men had. Even Saul, the King Saul, said, "Look, take my armour, take my sword." He basically said, "Nah, I'm not used to it, that's not me." What he had was his pouch, and in that pouch he had a slingshot, and that was enough. I want to tell you today that what you have is enough. You might be trying to upskill in certain areas and trying to gain a new skill. That's awesome, but often your past successes are clues to your present ability to do what God's called you to do. So run with it, be big with it. And the final thing on that is, I remember in the Word it talks about Moses when he found himself, I think it was parting the Red Sea, and they had to go over, and he's like, "Oh Lord, what are we going to do?" And I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on it, but God's basically said to him, "What's in your hand?"
Yeah.
I'll ask you the question. Over these weeks, over the last few days, today, tomorrow, ask yourself this question: what is in my hand? I truly believe God has already gifted us with what we need, so what is in your hand? And whatever that is, use it to bless people, use it to honour God, and I promise you that you'll be able to have victory and overcome in whatever situation comes your way and whatever opportunity is given to you. So, man, I'm amped up. I'm even, just as I'm talking to you, I'm rattling over the certain gifts I have, and I've got to hone in on the key ones. There's a lot of passions I have and a lot of maybe hobbies I have, but what are the core giftings that God's given me?
Awesome.
Cool.
That's good. And you know what too, like I love what you said, Hun, too, is like that we all have a unique, gift and a call that God has for us. So be you. The biggest encouragement I can encourage you is, like, yes, be inspired by others and, be encouraged by how great they are at things, but most importantly, be you. And like Samuel said, is what's in your hand. Like, God's given us gifts and abilities that he's placed in us that are unique. So be comfortable in being you, and know that what you have to offer people can reach them. Even your past, your story, your journey, your testimony has the power to break chains for other people as well. So I encourage you, while you're at home and while you feel like you can't minister or you can't get out there, you can't outreach to people, like, utilize technology, utilize what we have. Speak, open your mouth, allow God's word to come out, allow your testimony come out to actually be able to bless others, because we overcome, the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So be sharing with people, showing people how you've overcome certain things, that you can bless them as well and help pull them through the other side. But yeah, definitely you're enough We are enough, and what God's placed in us is definitely for a time such as this. So it really is time for us to rise up as, you know, men and women of God that we are, and actually be that lighthouse, be that shining light in society right now, where people are you know, everything can seem a little bit like, oh, drab, and oh man, everything's so, you know, media's portraying everything, they're putting so much fear into people and creating such more of a pandemic than the actual COVID-19, more of a fear pandemic on people. So that's where we can come and just flood it with hope, flood it with faith, flood it with love, and flood it with the blood of Christ. And even as we step into this very significant weekend, as we celebrate our Christ who came, you know, and I don't think it's coincidental as to where we are right now as you know, the world, as humanity, where we are right now, and we are stepping into a very significant time where we are remembering Christ, what he did for us, and with power of his blood and the power of him laying down his life for us. So this is a time to really regather, gather around your family. Tomorrow night we have a really special communion service with our bishop, which is going to be live, so be prepared, you know, have your communion ready, be prepared with your family. You can jump online, I believe it's 6:30 New Zealand time, so that will be 4:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Destiny Church Facebook page, you can jump on live there and be a part of this as we remember Christ together and celebrate with our families the power of this decision that he made to lay down his life to transform our lives now and for eternity. Yeah.
Cool.
Beautiful.
Man, I'm done.
Done, eh, honey?
Done.
Something's on you.
We're
good. Done.
We're done. So in the ending, it's flipping the coin. Hey, look, sometimes you can always look at the back end of it. Oh, this is happening. But flip the coin and say, gee, it's my opportunity to do something great, and take every opportunity to use the gift that God's given you. On that note, look, we're signing out. Sam and Kitty on Doing Life with us. And look, we're going to do these every Thursday, so continue to log in. We appreciate you logging in. Look, leave a comment if there's any questions or anything that kind of struck a chord with you. Write it down there. We'd love to agree and you know, comment with you, and just, you know, vibe. Let's vibe together as we move forward. But you got anything else to say?
That is us. Have an amazing weekend with your family. Keep safe. Actually, keep safe. Take a risk. Which one? Take a risk. No. Enjoy some time together, and as we celebrate Christ. And hey, would love you to join us tomorrow night as we join Bishop live for a beautiful communion service for this special weekend. So God bless you. See you guys next week.